welcome. This is Enterprise Weekend. We're very so glad to have you join us today. And let's head straight to our main conversation. 1 year after the Supreme Court ruled that Nigeria's 774 local governments must receive federal allocations directly, the federal government is yet to enforce the judgment. Despite the July 2024 ruling declaring the current practice of over 4.5 trillion allocated to local governments in the last year, still passed through state governments, the delay is blamed on disputes between the central bank, states, and the various agencies. With most local governments yet to open required CBN accounts, officials argue that implementation responsibilities lie with an inter-agency committee led by the secretary to the government of the federation. Across states like Kwara, Kano, Benue, Bayelsa, Nasarawa, Bauchi, and others, compliance remains inconsistent. In Benue, for example, chairmen say they receive far less than allocated, accusing the state governments of withholding funds. Similarly, in Kano, local governments have received direct funding, while in Nasarawa, officials claim readiness but report zero direct disbursement. Labor unions like LGA and NLC in several states confirm that full implementation is stalled despite some progress in places like Jigawa, which reports a partial autonomy and legal deduction. Stakeholders across the country continue to push for compliance, citing the need for grassroots development and improved service delivery. Union leaders emphasize that the Supreme Court judgment must not be ignored, warning that continued delay undermines local governance. While the federal government insists the process is ongoing, critics argue that political interference and lack of urgency are stalling the long overdue reform. We're very so pleased to have with us right now, joining us via Zoom, Adiola Shoyinton, a journalist, social activist, public affairs analyst. Thank you so very much, Mr. Shoyinton, for being here. We truly do appreciate you.
Yeah, good morning. Nice to be here once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir. I would love us to, just before we get into a deeper part of the local government autonomy, what is happening there, and what the state governors are doing to make it even more difficult for local government councils. I'd love us to talk a little bit about the ongoing LGA elections in Lagos State. Unfortunately, what we have is one party against one party. I'd love you to state what you think about this. Is that democratic enough in Lagos?
Well, it's not only in Lagos. I'm involved in local government, electoral, voter education, even in Lagos and some states in the south here, especially. And I would say it's going to be as usual. Government of the day taking all the seats in the election, which is contrary to the principle of voting pattern of governor. Because you wonder, when you have a state where governor had about maybe 60% during the governorship election, and the governor and maybe the ruling party have performed worse than when they were elected. They will start wondering, and people are receiving it, they start wondering how somebody who scored about 55% as a governor, suddenly the party scored 100%. So that tells you that there's nothing really called local government election. What we do have is just governor selection of who is going to be what. And it didn't start with the election, general election, in terms of local government election. It starts with the process of nominating candidates for the parties. Because you have to look at that, because that's the basic. A governor that imposed or the governor that imposed their own candidates as councillors, as local government nominees for chairman, you don't expect such state or such governor to allow free and fair and non-violent election. It's not only in Lagos State, in some other states that election is conducted, which run contrary at variance to sequence of election. Even in a state where you have presidential election, maybe the current president or the former president run away with just 30% votes, then when the governor of that party is in power, then you start having 100% chairmanship being voted for, councillors and what have you. So it's all rubbish that we are going and calling it local government election. Somebody even suggested at the forum that even instead of faking ourselves, because governors still local government form, it's obvious. No governor can deny that. And no local government can be involved. So no local government chairman can deny that. But don't forget, it's a law of preservation. If governor is stealing, it allows local government to also steal the crumbs while governor is imposing his own steal. And let me tell you how to steal. They don't steal directly by putting their hands. It's rare. What they do, the governors I mean, is that they impose projects on them. I'll give you an example. A governor can say, okay, he wants to build a big market complex, which is not the priority of the local government, because local government has its own store and gives its people according to their economic power. Then the governor will invite all chairmen and say, look, we are going to build this. And they will vote. Of course, there will be stipulated to vote, or even the voting, the nomination can come from any of the chairmen and say, look, yes, we want to participate in this complex to be built in about 10 local government. And they will withdraw their money, they will sign that it is voluntary. And these contracts will be overinflated. And you know what? The local government chairmen don't have a say in who the contractors are, who the engineers are. They only have a say in possibly where that project will be executed, it will be implemented, where the location, and nothing more. I have many friends that are current and past local government, but they won't speak out because they are slaves to their governors. So, and when the election, it's always about people lobbying, getting the highest coins to the governor and their party leaders who will give them that thing. And you ask yourself, are we like this? No, we are not. Because I remember in those days, when you have a party, you can have a lot of a House of Assembly, there are many parties involved as representatives. Of course, we have councillors, chairmen that come from different levels. But don't forget too, that there is now a renewed ethnic hatred. You know, not only in Lagos, it happens in Lagos. Yesterday, I was at the Buka, where some local boys were saying, you know, everybody should go back to their states. And this thing will continue to repeat when election is coming, that the Lagos developed by Lagos and by Yoruba, which was a lie. As a federal capital territory, as a former colony, Lagos was developed by everybody. And of course, that is what is happening to Abuja now. So it would be stupid of anybody around to say Yoruba man, it's okay, Lagos belongs to Lagos. It's a lie. What Abuja is like, why are people now coming out to say Abuja belongs to Abuja, when you have spent so much? Everybody developed capital. So now, the argument that they cannot have councillor, chairman, who cannot have Hausa Kano is stupid. If it happens on that, it's also stupid. And it's counter unity and of course stability we are crying about. So yesterday I had to correct and look. Do you know that all those street names you have, particularly in Ireland, what they were saying is only in Lagos? It's not. It's historical and developmental. All the Impadiwe, all the Eze, all the Ojukwu streets back there, they are product of historical documentation because they were involved either in federal government and the federal government, or they have money to buy. So if you are talking like that, then it means we are not ready for one Nigeria. So the same applies to this local government election. Nobody will be surprised if they even allow non-to come and vote or have council. And if they do, of course, you don't have positions. And this is not important because even in Yoruba, Yoruba state, where you have almost autonomous state, when a local government nominee is endorsed by the government, it's as free as winning. And when during my lectures on local government election organized by some of these state local government electoral commission, I emphasized that the idea of the governor saying you must deliver your word, you must deliver your counsel, is an idea to violence. That's not a democratic statement. That's not a statement that will work in a democracy. That is service-reading. Because when you say before you can come back as commissioner, you must go and deliver. What relationship? You take somebody as a commissioner because you feel is capable, is brilliant enough to be a commissioner. So now you go and deliver. That's a military command step. So that is why you see all of them going back to local government during local government election and become warriors. That is not democracy. That's a commandist civil rule, which is equivalent to military government that all of us are saying they are bad. But this civilian government is becoming worse than military. So, and that indication of democracy is free and fair in nation. In my home, in 2015, I am for Socialist Party. My wife was for APC, for Bureaucratic. But today, as less and less, because the economy actually was too much. They were just telling me about a few months ago that it took 1 million for her to buy 150 bags of flour in 2014. But today, that 1 million will only buy 15 bags of flour. So now you don't need to tell people if they are reasonable. They will come to their senses, and of course, see what is happening to them economically. So you don't need to. So this election is going to be APC 100% winning. There's going to be PDP, LP, 100% winning. You understand? And that is fundamentally flawed. It can't be defended either by sequence or either by character of human beings. People always reject what they don't want and they love what they want. So to say, look at God, where you have former, you go there as chairman, as of rep, you don't have any votes. You're just where we have Yoruba and Igbo, and you have no votes. It's wrong. So you don't continue this fast. And mark you, local government is the basis of grassroots democracy and development.
Very, very so well, because you actually cited to so many things that I think those in authority are not looking at. You talked about free and fair election. You talked about we not having a democratic process where it is just one party, and those within the party are directed, are told to go win their wards by all means, and because of that, you see phrases like grab it, take it, and run with it as the mantra that they go home with. But I'd love us to say some of these things with respect to other nations where we borrowed the presidential system of government from, particularly the United States. We have seen Nigerians win elections. These are immigrants who came to the country, and they win elections to mayor portfolios, to governors, and so on and so forth. So the question is it that we have not yet learned how truly the presidential system of government works, or is it that Nigerians have been able to calculate their own in a way that it is domestic to them?
Well, let me put it straight. We don't really have democracy in Nigeria. We only have political elite gangsterism. So we are governed by gangsters. who pretend to be Democrat. They are not. Because when you look at previous election, specifically 1993, I was involved in the post-annulment campaign. Abiola, the Yoruba man from Abeokuta, defeated Tofa in Kano and some other states without raising any ethnic campaign or religious campaign. Without. In Ikene, where Awolowo came from, Awolowo never scored higher vote in Ikene than in Ekiti, at former Ondo, in Ogun, and of course, maybe at Paris with Oyo State. And we had an entrenched opposition, issue for last, in Ikene, that were working against our interests. Nobody went there to burn the house. Nobody went there to intimidate them. That is democracy, at least beginning. But today, it's difficult. It's even risky to do that. What is happening in abroad is a lesson. We didn't borrow the character. We didn't borrow the honesty, the integrity, because we have gangsters who see politics as the main source of livelihood, the most profitable venture, not as service or sacrifice. And we should make that clear. There, you have a mayor that can resign on the basis of just one allegation. You have Prime Minister resigning. Here they don't. So it's about the character of the elites who have seen Nigeria as a captured territory. And of course, local government is the basis for that. I will tell you, it's not only politics enough. Let's extend it to academics, which is very dangerous. There abroad, we have Nigerians, Igbo, Yoruba, and of course, other tribes becoming president of university, equivalent of vice chancellor. But today in Nigeria, I have done that research. Any state-owned university, VCs will always come from that town, from that state, and possibly from the town that is hosting the university. That is not academics. That is not academics. Because when I went to Ife, I look at records. We have had Igbo as VC University of Ife, now University of Ife. In Unilag, we have had Igbo as I think it was even the first.
The first vice chancellor of University of Lagos is
even Uyo. I think when they were established, one of our professors in Faculty of Agriculture went there as the native vice chancellor. But today it's not like that. A friend invited me to come and campaign to help talk to some of my old schoolmates and followers in their school, because he had a lot of creative lecturer. And where I disagreed with him, and I didn't even talk to anybody, but when he said, even my king, the Alaki of Egbala, was in support of that kind. And I asked him, he's a professor. And I asked him, what's the business of a traditional king He's supporting the vice chancellor? Because he's from his town or what? That is not university. We call it universal knowledge. Universal. In those years, they went ahead to look for vice chancellor. It may not even be in the school if they think that people are not, that qualified. But today, we have abandoned the universality, knowledge, sentiment, concept of university. Look at what happened in Ife recently. In Ife, to the extent that an indigenous who was contesting for vice chancellor, she had to bring in Oro, cultists, to come and fight because they had discovered that other person, who is also from Osun State, had won. The incumbent had won. So for the first time, if I told guys, even on my social media handles, that the greatness of Ife has been compromised. Because yet I could not imagine when I was student president that a vice chancellor candidate will call with Oro, go and rent. They are not even Oro people. Just go and rent somebody like Agbowo in Ibadan because I'm a culture activist, and I've said that in Uru or even in any, if you want to consult any date, you must consult it on truthfulness. So you can't tell a real Uru cultist or a real Google priest or a Babalawo that an election has gone, you're supposed to be the vice chancellor because the place belongs to the town, and it's okay, I go to support. No. Ifa works on truthfulness, honesty, and integrity. They say you have to babalawo. So it's not only our politics, even in our allocations of resources, in terms of who can buy what, who can live where. So at the end of the day, what you are going to have, if care is not taken, is a totally destroyed country, not even a nation. And mark you, I'm not fundamentally a close-blinded nationalist or tribalist. But don't let us pretend. If you know that we can't stay together, why can't you go for some national conference, go back to regionalism, go back to those who want to go, let them go, so that you have a nation that remains. So it's not about us lying. You see all of them, the so-called elite politicians shouting unity, no Nigeria. But when they go home, they reverse back to their ethnic attack. So we are joking. And this is where I find it may even be worse. Because when you see this outgoing generation of rogue politicians, they are a bit better because they at least they pretend to have some ideology in terms of Awoism, Zikism, Ahmadu Bello, process out of it, which of course we know most of them are just parading that team with their conduct. But mark you, the next generation is going to be what? Because this one don't even have those who are supporting them now. They don't even have concept, they don't have ideology, they only talk about this the leader and they are abusing themselves. That is not followership. That is not followership. And that's a danger for the nation.
Yeah, it's very, very true, because these are some of the most important things that we need in order to take our democracy to the next level. I am truly enjoying our discussion today, but we will be right back after this short break. I still have with me Mr. Shoiton, and we are talking about local government autonomy, but most importantly, the local government election happening in Lagos State, Nigeria. It's still Enterprise Weekend. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a jiffy.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Thank you so very much for being back. Just before we went for that quick break, we were talking about the local government autonomy and the local government elections happening in Lagos State, Nigeria. And I still have with me Mr. Adiola Shointo, journalist, public affairs analyst. Thank you so very much, Mr. Shointo, for being back and hanging on. All right. So we're talking about the local government autonomy, and I would love you to maybe shed some light from your own perspective, from your own vantage point. Do you think we have what the name or the catchword itself? Do you think it is what we have right now in Nigeria after the Supreme Court declared that every fund should go directly to each local government autonomous area?
Alone is for the people, the grassroots people, that now you can challenge the leaders, you can support them, you can fight with them, to fight their looting governments. And you can decide projects that you want them to escape for you, and monitor that project and report appropriately. Today we have social media, which was not available there. So autonomy is about people coming to own their local government, ownership of their local government. by the people, knowing what is happening there, advising what should happen there, controlling what should happen there. That is the basic of that autonomy. But if we are not doing that as people, it means we have lost that autonomy by ourselves. And I think this is where we as civilians and citizens, even as paramilitary of military, should be involved in what is going on in your local government, like we do with CDAs. So that autonomy will not mean that, okay, autonomy for a councillor or a chairman to go and steal. No. Now about finances, like I've said the other time, every governor is a looter of local government. In fact, they see local government fund as pocket money. And of course, the local government chairmen that were nominated by them or by their godfather before they came to office will not shout. I give you one instance. When they wanted to start buying vehicles for police, it was a state in many local governments. I don't want to specifically mention one or two that I work with. Is a state government project, even though security is a collective responsibility. Of course, local government have their own vigilante and have their city arrangement within their limited scope, which is working at least, because people have security of our people. The local government said they wanted to buy jeeps, state governors, and they told this local government that it's a collective responsibility to buy SUV for police. And they deducted directly, even before this judgment. So nothing has stopped really, except people come to power and know the local government. Who is that chairman that was frustrating that labor, that possibly was cleaning chairs and tables for governors in their homes, that will now come out and say that the governors are diverting them? It's obvious they are diverting. They are diverting the money and they continue to divert. So, they are very lawless. And that is why at times I see governors as the greatest threat to civil rule, not even the president. But the president, though, is becoming worse now. The president have Senate and House of Rep, if they are not rubber, that can always question. See, Obasanjo regime was almost impeached by the senators.
Yes.
See, Jonathan regime was query by House of Rep. But today we have a dumb, blind, deaf senators and rep, and of course in the hollow chamber. So that now we are moving towards totalitarianism of a civilian dictator, Tinubu, and that is a danger. So when you are talking about finances, look, some of those boys you are seeing today that they were crying that the governor, when they were there as chairman local government, embezzled their money. And they came out with papers. They didn't say that. They didn't even have the guts to leak it to the press. It was when they were not considering another post or to return them to this. They came out openly. It's obvious. Go and do your checks. All state governors loot local government fund in one way or the other. I give you one another is there was a state wherein the governor played safe. He had his own sacrifice in the Argon, whatever they call themselves there. They had their own sacrifice. We'll have discussed with them. And when they meet them on this their monthly discussion, within the local government chairman, they will raise that motion that for this project, we want to donate about 30%, 50% of our budget to it. And you know one thing, the governor will place, they were taking records of, the governor will play safe and he will reject that suggestion that no, the state can finance it. And of course, they will put it to vote. Local government chairman will win their vote. He's doing that for a purpose in case of EFCC that he even rejected it. But local government overrode, everybody knows this totalitarian governance. So it's about character of governance and assembly. They don't respect the court. If they respect the court, why are they still dissolving local government? I was involved to a large extent in terms of monitoring judicial process in Oyo State. It's obvious that having gotten judgment in a material of 4 states about this illegal decision, Section 7 is so clear. If you want to make local government an administrative extension of government, why not go back to your constitution? There are some people feel that would be better. So instead of pretending that we have autonomous local government, let them be maybe a special advisor on local government, the autonomy of the local government. So that's the governor, you can't put all these guys in office and expect them to do something better. Hey, what is judicial? In fact, that Oyo State was falling. The governor announced the solution on the first day of hearing, just like how Tinubu announced. So it is gone. On the first day, no sane leader would do that. Because first of all, assuming those elections of local government were flawed, either by constitution or by Ujoro manipulation of the judiciary. And let me also tell you, most governors, if not all, have their own courts, their own judges. I'm telling you what I know through the Attorney General, that when you bring any local government, whatever you get it free of charge. So now, if you think that election is not well, or the people are not there, all you need to do is to meet with them and let them know that you have the legal power, to dissolve them. I know many of them will go with you in terms of if you are genuine. Many of them will fight you. Many of them will say, they love money. So they did. The governor didn't do that. Just say, look at me, dissolved. I don't even met them. I don't even know what is happening. And the case went on to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, you have done illegal thing. Pay all the money they have not collected. You know what? They even delayed that judgment, obeyed the judgment for almost 2 years before they went back to Supreme Court to garnish their property. So they're paying big. So governors, I don't know, even when they were campaigning, they look like normal people. At the moment, most of them get there, they go passe. They don't respect God, they don't respect anybody. They want to control senator, they want to control sovereign, they want to control councillor, they want to control chairman, they want to control CDA. They have moved into CDAs too. That CDA consumption community don't even have. I've been able to CDA in my village and in my town. You see that the CDA chairperson, if PDP is in power, is a PDP. If APC is in power, it's APC. Not by freedom, by free will, but by compulsion. So it's about us realizing that the reality of life is that we are faced with crooks. So how do we do with crooks? It's where we come openly. In the governance, particularly at local government level, that your councillor, there was a time I was giving a seminar to some local government, and I asked a simple question within those councillors. I pick on 5 councillors across the state to tell me how many primary schools in their local government. None of them. No.
Wow.
None. I wonder. So if you're a councillor in your ward, you are so lazy, so stupid, not to even know how many primary schools in your ward, not even totally in your local government. They don't know because they are not interested. And that is where I will appeal to retired professors, lawyers, teachers, even those who are in service. Come and become local government councillor, local government chairman, journalists and whatever, because to a large extent, it's possible if you campaign. And I also want to say that people don't, if they have social base, they will not start bribing people, they will not start bribing voters, they will not start killing people, they will not maim people. Because social base is freely giving. And what they do is to ask people, that's not social base. So if people participate more, possibly in different parties, particularly as independent candidates, we are going to, can you imagine if a former vice chancellor is a chairman of a local government? It happened during a Abacha regime. There was a man, I think he was one of these less known party in Idore area. Do you know that? I mean, during Babangida, okay, Abacha. You know, they can disqualify anybody.
Yes.
1 hour to
yes.
for security reasons.
Yes.
So the man, a retired headmaster of a school, who was immensely popular in his location. You know what happened? A day before, he was disqualified. People still went ahead to vote him and his party as winner. Of course, they didn't declare him. But that tells you that people can take their destiny in their hands. I'll give another example. During military regime, the authority wanted a particular person from Ake, but that has been the trend, which to me is not normal. This is a local government. Ake is just a township, I one particular township, where the balance is very wrong. So this woman came from Itoko. I'm talking of Ajanuku. Mr. Ajanuku, blessed memory. He was the only candidate, female candidate, out of about 10 candidates. You know what? This woman went ahead, just like what Natasha is doing now, to campaign to people individually, and it was a nurse. So, hospital, marketplaces, and what. And you know what? He defeated the candidate supported by candidates and the Egba authority. That's what we want now. That's what we want now. People should own their destiny in their hands. You don't allow this.
I would love to ask you my last question here. If we must get it right, like you have stated on the examples you've given, having the right persons occupy positions like councillors and local government chairmen, do you think if we reverse the engineering or do an inverted pyramid where the local government election comes first before the governorship and the presidential, do you think this might correct the anomaly and allow us get the right people for the right job from the lowest level of the hierarchy of election?
Of course, that was the trend in 79. That was the trend because democracy is conical. I think you get it. So that you have the base, wide base, then from there it moves on. But at the end of the day, the NPN, the National Party of Nigeria at that time, went to a second term election. They revised it. It used to be House of Assembly, local government first, House of Assembly, and of course Senate and House of Rep, and governor, and of course presidency. So they revised it as part of bringing tactics because they wanted what they call effect, bandwagon effect. So they went straight to presidency first as a way to distribution people, so that when they took the presidency, of course, many people would not vote because this is a rigged election. There are many people would not vote, so they just have it out. Instead of building democracy from local government, that's how it should be. So that at least somebody, don't forget, character may not, human character is not a straight line ground. They may like a councillor here, they may not like House of Assembly in that place and vote. So freedom is good to elect. That's why I'm telling people that look, let's have as many opposition, genuine or not, in elections so that voters will be keen. So I will agree with that, but they will not accept. Because they will not accept because they know that transparency at that level can give authentic projection on who and who are likely to win what election. But grab the presidency, others fall in line. That's dangerous. That's not democratic values that we were trained or we open our eyes to see in years back. Because we have gangsters now who see politics as the best means, the most profitable venture, not as a service or sacrifice to people. So that is what is happening today, and we have to fight against it continually. Not because we are we are powerless. We are powerful, but because we don't appreciate our potentials. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Adiola Shoyinton. And then just to say that it's important to realize historically, Lagos was once a crown colony. If you understand the symbolic value of that, then you know that Lagos is not a place that you joke around with. It is in the level of Cape Town in South Africa and Casablanca in Morocco. But unfortunately, these two cities I just talked about now are more developed infrastructurally, are more developed economically, are more developed when it comes to tourism and science and everything. The question is, why is Lagos still where it is today? And this is because of what Mr. Shoyinton has just stated here, that what we have is coronation of those in power than allowing for democracy in Nigeria. Unfortunately, it's the sad reality, but that is what we have with us. Thank you so very much once more, Mr. Adiola Shoyinton, for being here. We truly do appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
All right, that's just about the time we have today on Enterprise Weekend. We'd love to say thank you to you for being part of it. Please do well to visit us. If you may, you can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, go out and vote, and let your vote count. We'll see you next time. Have yourself a splendid weekend. Bye-bye.